This is the old man here going on another rant. I want to talk briefly about our educational system here in the United States of America. Uh, I just watched a few minutes ago a video of a young man doing a little survey, and I'll get back to that in a moment. But after seeing that, I think our educational system was much better when I was growing up. I don't think it was perfect. It was far from perfect, but I mean, we didn't have all the computers and other things inside the classroom, but I just think as a whole, teachers were better. I do, however, recall one incident from something that I was taught in the first grade, and it never really back in the 1960s. And it never dawned on me as I got older that something was wrong with this. It wasn't until about 1999 when I had been out of the military for a few years and I was able to go to college. And I was actually going to college to get my degree in education. That I found these couple of books, and I've always enjoyed history. But the first one was called Lives Across America. Well, I'm sorry, that was the second one. The first book was called Lives My Teacher Taught Me. And as I was reading this book, I discovered this one so-called fact that they had told us when I was in the first grade. And as I got older and I vaguely remembered this, I thought, well, there's no way they could have told us that. That's preposterous. It's impossible. There's no way they could have told us this. Until I read it in this book. And then I realized I wasn't dreaming or remembering wrong. This actually happened. What they told us was that Abraham Lincoln was born in a log cabin which he built himself. Now, I want you to think about that for a second, and I'm going to repeat it. Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president, was born in a log cabin which he built himself. Now, I know he did some pretty incredible things in his life, but how could you build a cabin before you were born so you could be born in it? That goes along with the famous myth of George Washington chopping down the cherry tree. Because some relative of his, some years later, was writing a biography about him and wanted to make him seem more mythical than he was, so he says, I cannot tell a lie, I chopped down the tree. Now, despite these things, I still say that our educational system was better than what I am seeing now. Now, I'm sure there's some schools which are doing a good job. Like I said, I know some teachers who are great, but I recently saw a clip what has me worried about our children because they're supposed to be our future. That's what you always hear about kids. When we were getting ready to get it, that's all, folks. When we were getting ready to get out of high school, we were told that we were the future. And the future went by pretty fast, I tell you that. But let me explain what I saw. I saw this, let me give a little story to describe this. If you remember when Jay Leno was on the Tonight Show, he used to do this man on the street thing, and he would go up to different people on the street and he would ask them random questions. And they were all pretty basic questions that, as Americans, most of us should know if we had any kind of education. I mean, he would ask, whose picture is on the $5 bill? Most of us would say Lincoln, but people come up with some pretty weird answers. And it was supposed to be a funny bit, but I thought it was sad even back then. Well, this is kind of reminiscent of that. There was a young gentleman, he's probably in early to mid-20s, and he's going around, he's doing the same kind of surveys to people around his age. And he's asking them very basic questions. He asked one girl, what two countries border the United States of America? After a couple minutes of thinking, she came up with Canada, which is correct. But then she couldn't think of the other countries. She kept saying countries like Russia. How does she not know that it's our southern neighbor, Mexico? He asked another young gentleman, what four-sided object was the name of that? Let me rephrase that. He said, what do you call something that has four sides? And he said, I know what it is, but I can't think of the name of it. Even if you didn't have geometry in school, in elementary school, they taught you what a square was. Well, how many pennies is in a dollar? Well, the guy was kind of close. He said 105. It's 100. He showed the girl a picture of an analog clock where the big hand was on the 10, the little hand was on the 2. Well, she knew the big hand was the hour hand. But somehow she saw that and said 10:15. What are these kids learning? It's like instead of progressing, they're compressing, or they're going the opposite direction. The one that really got to me, and I don't remember the exact question they asked him, but this was a young man. He was in a graduation cap and gown. Like he had just graduated or getting ready to graduate from college. He had the gold braids on, which meant he had some kind of honors. And the man asks him a simple question he should have known in elementary school, and he got it wrong. What is going on in our schools? Now, as someone who has taught briefly in school, and like I said, I have my degrees in education, and every teacher I ever talked to, they didn't like the No Child Left Behind. Not the concept of it, no, it's a great concept, but how they are doing it. And because instead of actually teaching the kids what they need to know, they're having to teach the kids what they need to know so they can pass this test they have to take at the end of the year. And so, like I said, I knew a lot of teachers who were against that. But it's really, I'm just at a loss because the teachers are not able to teach the kids what they need to know because of this. And I know the kids can't be all that stupid because, like I said, they showed just one kid looked like he was graduating from honors from somewhere, but yet he couldn't answer a simple question. The one girl, they asked her to name 3 countries outside the United States. She says Alabama, not a country. New Mexico, not a country. And Connecticut. Those are all states within the United States. Those are not countries. Ask one girl, what's a country? What if she can name a country whose name starts with a U? Well, if you know anything about what's going on in the world today, the first thing would be Ukraine. And then if you go down to South America, you got Uruguay. And the point is, this is just, I don't know what this says, not just for our educational system, but for a country. When you ask a person who lives in the United States of America, and you're in the United States of America, what is the capital of the United States? And they don't know. So something needs to change. Like I said, I know some teachers who are doing a good job. Some schools have excellent records. But we need to step up the game, people. And I'm not saying we need to try and compete with these other countries. No, we need to compete with ourselves. Do what we need to do so we can teach our kids the information they need. They can get out there and be productive citizens. If you can't even know what continent you live in, that's pretty sad. And so, on that note, I'm going to sign off. And I think you need to talk with your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, or whatever, and quiz them. Ask them these questions, ask them other questions, see what they're learning in the schools. Maybe they can take something back to the school where they're at and teach some to their friends. And on this note, the old man is out.